What's going on, Boston Celtics fans? Welcome into Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Allie Barefoot. I'm not in the office. I have an off day today, but I wanted to just hop on here real quick and give you guys a couple more updated NBA draft targets the Boston Celtics could be trying to acquire tomorrow with pick number 30 and pick number 54. Those are the two picks that the Boston Celtics have in round 1 and round 2 of the NBA draft. And really what we're working on here is that the Boston Celtics obviously just won the NBA Finals. I'm rocking my shirt right now. The players are still soaking it all in. But unfortunately, we have to look forward to the future of the Boston Celtics franchise. So for Brad Stevens, if I'm going into this NBA draft, I'm really just trying to focus on spots you can fill now. And by spots, I mean role players, bench players. The Celtics are very fortunate that they're possibly bringing back all 6 top players for the Boston Celtics, maybe even 7 if you include Peyton Pritchard on that list. But I think for the draft here, you want to start focusing on holes you can fill now, but more importantly, holes you need to fill moving forward once those Boston Celtics players move on, like an Al Horford or Kristaps Porzingis if he can't obtain with his contract there. But I also want to give you guys a quick little roster update here. Oshae Brissett, Brizzy, who I have loved coming off the bench here for the Boston Celtics this entire year, he actually declined his player option the other day. And that doesn't mean he can't come back to the Boston Celtics, but declining your player option sounds like Brizzy is really trying to find a different role here in the NBA, as this was the lowest minutes he had averaged since he played for the Raptors, I believe, in his rookie season in 2019-2020. So I understand. Oshae Brissett probably just wants to have a bigger role with another team here, and that's totally fine, but he did decline his player option. So now Brad Stevens could, even a little bit ahead of the NBA draft here, start to look at that power forward, small forward type of position and say, hey, do we really need to update our wing depth right now? And maybe possibly build for the future, knowing that Oshae Brissett may not be with the team moving forward. But I have one quick question for you guys before I hop into those today, is that what position do you think the Boston Celtics should really target in this NBA draft? Do you think they should be trying to look at a big guy, a big center, in case if Porzingis were to go down once more? And you know they're not a huge Luke Cornett fan, as you can tell in the playoffs. Al Horford, 38 years old, should they be looking at that position? Or like I said, Oshae Brissett, leaving that depth piece in that wing position a little bit shaky, so maybe they could go out and get that. Or give Peyton Pritchard a nice little buddy on the bench, give him a nice little point guard, shooting guard type of area as well. So go on ahead and comment that down below. But I will go on ahead and bring up the first draft target that I have been seeing around the internet and what the Boston Celtics could be trying to acquire here at number 30. That's going to be Kyle FIlipowski. This is going to be your big guy from Duke, which you know Smitty's going to love. He's a sophomore. He's about 6'10", so he's about an inch taller than the other Duke player on our team, which is going to be Jason Tatum. And of course, I go by the ringer here, Kevin O'Connor. I think this is just the holy grail for everything you need to know about an NBA draft prospect. And really what they're saying here is that he's giving shades of Zach Collins, the big guy for the San Antonio Spurs right now. And the ringer and Kevin O'Connor do say that he's a versatile big with a guard's finesse. He's really great at playmaking, his vision, and the perimeter shot. And they're going to give him the attributes of ball handling, a feel for the game, which is always great. Got to have that knack, got to have that dog in him. And that's exactly what he ended with. He's got that dog in him. And I mean, that's obviously what you got to have, the credentials, when you come to the Boston Celtics. But a quote here they did give is that he's a glue guy, skills on offense, often keeps that ball moving, relocating. You know the one thing I hate for the Boston Celtics, how stagnant they are. I think their offense is horrible when you got one ISO player and everybody else is just completely standing still in all 4 other positions. So if you can relocate, I am all for that. Spread out the offense. I always love hearing that. Looking forward for the Boston Celtics. NBA coaches will love to use him in different actions because of his playmaking ability, crossed with his quick decision making. So you know he's got that court vision. He's got that high basketball IQ, would fit in very well with a big paint player like Kristaps Porzingis coming in the back here. He can run the pick and roll, set hard screens, then pop a roll. So he's got multiple options you can use him here. You can use him down low, or even like a Porzingis, bringing him up at that top of the three-point line. He's also already adept to running handoffs, so he could really thrive if surrounded by shooters. We got plenty of those. And as hard-nosed defense rebounder. That I absolutely love. And honestly, when you're looking forward here, when you got a guy like Kyle FIlipowski, I do think that he could be a potential Al Horford replacement. You got to think, Whit Grusbeck said Al should be coming back next year. He's already 38 years old, and he has one more year on his contract. And I don't think he'll play after that. Obviously, we never know with Al Horford. He's already defying odds right now. But if you're looking ahead and you can get this guy to learn from Horford and Porzingis and then possibly fill in that role spot when Al Horford does end up retiring, I think that's the perfect type of example you can have there for the Boston Celtics future. And overall, I just think that you can always use a little bit bigger size there. You see it when the Western Conference comes to play the Boston Celtics, despite them going 27-5 this year against Western Conference teams. They get bigger. And I think the 6'10" guy from Duke would also be a good target to really hone in on at pick number 30. But in case you guys did not know, we will be live tomorrow on Celtics Today by Chat Sports, giving you guys all the latest. The draft is actually at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, we're going to pregame. We're going to talk about what we've been seeing, but this is also the thumbnail, what you guys can find on our main channel at Chat Sports. They will be live as well, breaking down the ins and outs. Nick Roloff, well, it's always F. Roley. He's done a phenomenal job breaking down our big board, really telling you guys all the latest on who you should know entering the NBA. So if you guys want to join us, of course we're going to be live. We heard your request, so come join us, hang out with us in Celtics Today, and see who the Boston Celtics end up drafting at pick number 30 and pick number 54. All right, the next target here is actually going to be from Illinois. We're going to move to that guard forward position, kind of that shooting guard, small forward, Terrence Shannon Jr. There's been a lot of hype coming in around Terrence Shannon Jr. into the NBA draft, but it's unfortunate because he did face some allegations that he did end up beating, but it did suspend him for a while in NCAA. So with those allegations, you're always going to question the ethics that this player does have. You know, will he make decisions, good decisions, bad decisions in the NBA? So it is something that's going to put a chip on a player's shoulder. So it did lower his draft stock just a little bit, but the ringer, Kevin O'Connor, once again still says that he could be a viable fit here for the Boston Celtics at pick number 30. Obviously, you do have to take in that aspect of those allegations and take that with what you will, but it could always have that following him here into the NBA. But he's given him shades of Tyreke Evans. He's a skilled scorer with relentless downhill mentality, off-ball defense and on-ball defense. Two things I absolutely love. Going ahead, stick him in that backcourt with Jrue Holiday, with Derek White, guard the wings a little bit, and I think you're going to have a very versatile player here. He's 6'5". He's 23 years old, and he weighs about 220 pounds. And here's what the ringer had to say about his positives coming into the NBA. He's good at rim scoring with slick footwork. You always love to hear that. And he finishes with craft at the basket. You're going to have to be shifty maneuvering to the basket now. It's not the NCAA, it's going to be the NBA here. And I do think that when you play with players like Holiday and Tatum, you have to be on your toes. We saw that several times in the NBA Finals that Tatum was going to assist Jrue Holiday. A no-look pass, down low, Holiday catch, put it up at the rim. That's going to be the type of player that you'll have to have here if you want to make it with the Boston Celtics roster moving forward. In the half court, he's an aware cutter and loves to catch and go with straight line drives to the rim. He needs little space to rise over defenders for dunks. An improved handle helps him get into pick and rolls and pull up threes, though he's not a lead creator. He can reliably make kick-out passes or find a cutter. You know when the Celtics make upwards of 7 to 8 passes, it's going to end with a phenomenal three ball or possibly even a put-up and a putback by the rim. I think that when you've got a player that doesn't necessarily have to be the lead creator, you don't need that. You've got the Jays. You even got the duo of Holiday and Holiday and White. But if you do end up having a sharp shooter and a good cutter, then I think he's going to fit in really well here if the rookie does end up meshing with this Boston Celtics veteran core. And then moving on, we got one more draft prospect here. You got Tyler Kolek, the Marquette point guard. I've loved players that have come out of Marquette, man. I think they're scrappy as hell. I think they're dogs. They got that tenacity. Not being one of the bigger Power 5 schools in the NCAA, Marquette guys are really out there to prove what they have. Seen a couple of interviews with this guy, and he is a full-blown dog. He's literally said it takes big balls to make shots that he makes. I mean, that's the confidence you got to have coming into the team that just won the NBA Finals. 6'1", little bit on the smaller side of the guard position. 23 years old, 197 pounds. The ringer is actually giving him shades of Jalen Brunson, which is a high accolade to have coming into the NBA draft. He's got the clutch gene, Brunson. He's a floor general, Brunson. Crafty finisher, catch and shoot threat. I mean, I think this guy, if you allow him to play in that bench role, develop behind Peyton Pritchard, even develop with the other guys in the backcourt of a Derek White and a Jrue Holiday, you're going to get an absolute lethal defender here who sounds like he can also be a highly versatile player on offense, and that's going to create your two-way player that I think the Celtics should always enjoy to have on the bench while following behind the Pritchard just got an extension. Jrue Holiday just got an extension. He'll have some time to grow. The positives here for Kolek is high field point guard who can play quickly, slowly, and at every speed in between. That's one thing I love about Luka Doncic finding the NBA Finals, not comparing the two, obviously, but when he does drive, he just knows how to switch his momentum so efficiently. And I do think when you find that in an NBA draft prospect, he goes quick to slow, it's going to develop over time. And he does that so well in between, both out and on break and in the half court. He uses his dribble to create angles for perfectly timed passes to cutters and shooters. Loves attacking the basket with his lightning quick first step and burst. Though he's a below-the-rim finisher, he's incredibly crafty in the paint, using layups, high off the glass, and floaters. He threats to drive and pass mean defenders, often give him space to shoot, and he's proved he can make them pay by taking pull-up threes when he has room to launch. While the Celtics do a great job of giving those players room to launch, it sounds like this is going to be the kind of perfect fit in here for a player not to be thrown to the fire, but to develop over time. He's a knockdown lefty, three-point shooter off the catch, an important trait if he's going to thrive alongside other ball handlers, which Celtics have that through and through. So I do think you've got a couple of positions here. You can go with that wing depth right there with Terrence, Shannon Jr. You can go with a big like FIlipowski, or you can also find your guard position here with Kolek. And I do think that overall, whichever position they do end up drafting tomorrow at number 30 or 54, the beauty of it is that he will have time to develop. You're not going to have this Mac Jones-esque Patriots type of deal where they draft a player and I get go win us an NBA championship. You're going to have that time to develop behind these guys that just won an NBA Finals. But with that being said, those are just three targets that I wanted to put on your radar for tomorrow. This is what the professionals are saying. It's what the NBA analysts are saying as well. So who would you want the Boston Celtics to draft tomorrow? And I do want to give you guys a quick little report here while you guys are answering that question for me. Who the Celtics do you want to draft tomorrow? But the report is that it looks like, coming out from Kevin O'Connor on The Ringer, it looks like the Blazers are actually very interested in drafting Zahc Edey at the number 7 spot in the NBA draft. I made a poll in the community tab the other day talking about 3 players or a 4th that you guys want the Boston Celtics to draft. It was Pacome Dadiet. You also had Ryan Dunn from UVA. And then you had Zahc Edey in there because I've seen that he's kind of been going in between the 20 and 30 mark. I don't know if he'll end up with the Celtics at 30, but I know you guys are big Zahc Edey fans. You think that's probably the best name out there right now in the NBA draft, but I highly doubt he's going to make it to spot 30. Of course, these predictions can go out the window tomorrow night. If that does happen, that's great. We'll give a report on it right here, but the Blazers seem pretty interested in Zahc Edey at that number 7 position. So this is all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much joining me on this at-home version of our updated draft list. Like I said, we will be live tomorrow on Celtics Today. Come have some drinks. Come hang out with us. Let's talk about the NBA draft. And plus, we got a while into the Boston Celtics pick. Number 30 and number 54. And as always, going ahead, hit that sub button for me. That way you guys miss nothing on the Boston Celtics.